Franklin Graham is the son of legendary televangelist Billy Graham, and he's also this big-time evangelical minister. Well, he released a statement complaining about Christians who weren't supporting Phil Robertson. Phil Robertson, of course, the Duck Dynasty guy, who said that gays are like terrorists and murderers and they invent ways of doing evil, and black people were happy during Jim Crow, and men should marry women young when they're like 15 years old. So this guy's defending him. He says society is fighting a, quote, religious war against Christians and the biblical truths that they stand for. You know, as time has gone by and the more I read about fundamentalist religious folks, I become even more hardened in my stance against them. And I have a conclusion I'm going to talk about at the end of this segment here. But think about what he's saying right there. Religious war against Christians and the biblical truths they stand for. That's what's going on right now. So there's not a war against gay people where they're being prevented from having full rights. I mean, what do we have today? 17 states that have legal gay marriage. A majority of the states don't recognize gay people as equal. They recognize them as second-class citizens. They can't have the same tax rights. They can't have the same protection under the law as straight couples. So it's not that there's a war on gay people when it comes to how they're treated under the law, when it comes to how Christian conservatives talk to them, like Phil Robertson equating them to terrorists and murderers and everything bad, under the sun. No, there's not a war on gay people who are actually experiencing persecution. No, there's a war on Christians because, 76% of the population, which is Christian, they're just held down. If only we could get one Christian president in the White House, then they will have made it. Oh, that's right. Every president has been Christian. You guys run the country. You guys at every turn try to shove your religion down our throats. You're not a victim. You're not victims. I hate it when they play the victim card too, because it's always conservatives that yell about how liberals play the victim. You play the victim. Listen to yourself. He continues, quote, I appreciate the Robertson family's strong commitment to biblical principles and their refusal to back down under intense media pressure over Phil Robertson's comments in a recent interview. Keep standing by that bigotry, you good person, you. That's just like Jesus would do. Jesus loved bigotry. As the Robertson controversy winds down, at least for now, I have been amazed at how many churches have apparently ducked out of the issue. Hardy, har, 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 har. God, man. These guys, their interpretation of Christianity, their interpretation of Jesus is that Jesus was like Rush Limbaugh. They think Jesus is a total bigot, hates anybody who's not exactly like him, judges all day long on social issues. Franklin Graham never has anything to say about helping the downtrodden, helping the poor, helping the sick, which was Jesus' actual message. The overwhelming majority of what Jesus talked about, be kind to thy neighbor, to the downtrodden. But Franklin Graham never says anything about that. Phil Robertson, crickets on that issue. He says, quote, churches have fallen into the trap of being politically correct under the guise of tolerance. So be politically incorrect and be a bigot all day long. God is not politically correct, and he certainly is not tolerant of sin. Right, which is why Franklin Graham on a daily basis comes out and protests outside of the seafood market. Because it's an abomination in the eyes of God to eat shellfish. So he does that, right? It's an abomination under the eyes of God to wear a fabric that's not pure. It's a mix of two fabrics. So say polyester and cotton, for example. Or wool and cotton, whatever. A mix of anything. But he hasn't protested outside of Kmart or Walmart or the Gap or the seafood place. No, just talking about gays. It appears as if he's kind of cherry-picking based off of what his already bigoted positions are and how intolerant he already is. That's exactly what he's doing. Finally, he says, quote, the Bible tells us that he is going to judge all sin one day, and anyone who is not found under the blood of his Son, Jesus Christ, will face an eternity in hell separated from God. So, my takeaway from this is that Franklin Graham is a Kool-Aid drinker. He's a Kool-Aid. So is Phil Robertson. I think these guys actually believe the ridiculous claims that they make. Like, they actually think the world is 6,000 years old, and there was Adam and Eve at the beginning, and God created us in our current form, and there was a flood that went around the entire world, and Noah had an ark and got every animal in the world on the boat and saved humanity, and turned water into wine, multiplied the loaves. All of somebody lived to 900, over the age of 900 in the Bible. There was a 7-headed dragon, a talking snake. All these things that happened in the Bible that there's no evidence for whatsoever. He believes they're true. He believes they're true. And this is my final conclusion that I alluded to earlier that I'm now going to throw out there. I don't know if this is controversial or not, but I've come to the conclusion. I don't know if this is too late or too early, and I might have even come to this conclusion before. If I did, I just don't recall it. But I have come to the conclusion that religious fundamentalists of any stripe, are the dumbest people on the planet. Or maybe that's not fair. The most ignorant people on the planet. Because it would only take a teeny weensy, itty bitty little bit of giving a fuck about what's true or false to do a little bit of research to figure out this is all bullshit. No, if these guys, if Franklin Graham and Phil Robertson, if they were born in ancient Greece, they would believe in the Greek gods. If they were born in ancient Rome, they would believe in the Roman gods. And they believe they're factually true. If they were born in China, they would believe in Shinto. If they were born in India, they would believe in Hinduism. Born elsewhere, they believe in Buddhism. If they were born into a Scientologist family, they would believe in Scientology. If they're born into a Mormon family, they would believe in Mormonism. If they're born at any time in history where the majority religion of the place they lived was X, they would believe in X. Why? Because they're sheep. Whatever the people around them said when they grew up, they accepted as fact. Because, oh my God, my mommy said it, and she's an authoritarian figure. It must be right by definition. Well, no, your mommy is fallible, so you can actually check whether or not she said something that's true or false. But they're sheep, they're lemmings. Whatever everybody around them believed, they believed. And now they think it's true, and they argue for it arrogantly, but they make themselves look like the most pathetic losers ever. You should be afraid to leave your house. You should be embarrassed to leave your house because of how fucking ignorant you are. I'm surprised you figured out that when you touch the stove, it's kind of hot. Surprised you haven't burned off your hand by this late age.